watching Conversations with Jennylyn. Heather and Sean, I am so excited to share two of my favorite guests with you. Tonight, we have a very impactful show. Get your wine, get your tea, your water, whatever you drink, and sit back and relax. Heather and Sean, welcome to Conversations. Anyways, I have interviewed you both separately, and I hope anyone watching this will remember because you're both not easy to forget. And I decided that the two of you are doing such a great job researching and channeling that it would be a very good benefit to everyone watching to hear you both, because one of you is channeling from guides that nobody can see, but the other person has spent countless hours, money, and time to get the facts to support what he is saying. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for you both. I think I watch everything you both put out, and I'm very impressed. And so I want to share you with the people who follow me. So Heather, why don't we have you just do a quick intro, although in case someone hasn't seen this.
Me? Start?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay. I'm Heather Bryant, and on TikTok and my one of my Instagram accounts, I'm known as Crystal Claire, and I channel a group of cosmic beings that are here to help us on our human journey. And this is something that I didn't believe in prior to it happening to me. 4 years ago, I was visited by two light beings after leaving corporate America, and they shared with me many things. And one of the things was that I'm here to use this gift to help the collective and share the truth that I'm channeling and get out there to the masses to help with the awakening, really. And my guides had me start channeling Hollywood to start. I don't know why. Well, I know why now, but I didn't know why in the beginning because I'm not interested in Hollywood. But what they're showing me is that Hollywood is just a representation of a lot of things that are going on right now around the globe. Is connected to the systems and structures that have been created to control us. So this group of cosmic beings that I channel are sharing wisdom and truth to help people understand what's really going on here, so that the collective can start making educated decisions about what they choose to believe and how they choose to live their life based on the knowledge that my guides are bringing forth. So I think that's it in a nutshell.
Thank you, Heather and Sean. I know that we've done this before, but for those who haven't seen the show.
Well, my name is Sean, and I go by Out of the Matrix on TikTok, and I help do just that. I help break people free from the control matrix, and I help people expand their consciousness and raise their frequency to a higher vibration and break free from all the different control systems that are implemented right now. There's a lot of them.
Sean, why don't we start with you, Sean, because you have done, you're quite young, and when I first saw you on TikTok, I'm like, he looks like 15. How could he know this stuff? And I and I started to follow you, and what impressed me the most was the fact that you didn't only make claims, but you'd actually gone and done the research, because part of the problem or part of the challenge for people is when you're bringing something that is shattering their belief systems and those of the previous generations, it's very easy, because they can't relate to what you're saying, to call it propaganda, conspiracy, and all the names they give it, or they start attacking you and telling you you're crazy, which I see a lot happening to you, and I just love how you handle it. So why don't you tell us how you got started going down this road that's led you to where you are today?
Well, the way that this started was before I was even a teenager. I had an awareness, and I received like awakening, like little aha moments. Some people call them data downloads, but I I always had this awareness that everything was fake, that my parents were brainwashed, my teachers were brainwashed, my friends' parents were brainwashed, my grandparents were brainwashed. And I didn't really know why. I just knew that they were. So as I progressed through my journey, I've always been guided to study certain things. I would synchronistically meet certain people, or synchronistically certain things would kind of just fall into my lap. And these synchronicities allowed me to study the things that I needed to study and learn the things I needed to learn to, for the most part, reverse engineer how the whole control matrix works so that I can articulate it in a way that people can understand and comprehend, and also start having aha moments and awakening moments and break free from it all. So that's how it got started. Yeah, before I was a teenager. And it was a kind of, and I know a lot of people can resonate with this, and there's probably a lot of other people that also had a very high level of awareness and felt really isolated and didn't know what to do at first and didn't fit in because of their awareness. That's how I grew up. I grew up in a very heavily indoctrinated environment where everyone was practicing religions. Mainly two religions they practice. They practice the religion of statism, which is the religion where the government is God, and they practice the religion of Christianity, which is monotheism combined with patriarchy. And they tried to force it on me and all of my friends, and that made me grow up with a very rebellious attitude. So that's how it got started. It's been a lifelong thing for me, at least in this incarnation.
On that note, Sean, Heather, I'd like you to elaborate on what Sean just shared, because you have had a similar download from your guys. So do you want to share what you were told about what Sean just said?
Yeah. So I guess what I'll say, I was channeling a little bit when he was talking, and I want to share it. If we have time, I'll share it. But
Yes.
I also grew up in a religious household, and something just never sat right with me. Something was just told me, this doesn't feel right. Something's off, but I couldn't put my finger on it because I was surrounded by people that totally believed it. So I had there was no context for what I was thinking. The news was on in my house from morning to evening. I just couldn't watch it. There was just something, I just resisted it. And until I was visited by two angels 4 years ago, I questioned. I thought, I feel like there's something greater than this. I feel like there's a God or something. I feel like there's a greater power, but it didn't make sense that it was the same thing that I was told that it was in church. It didn't match what I was feeling. And then when I was visited by two angels 4 years ago, and I started channeling this stuff, what they showed me, what they've been showing me, I'm going to caveat and say, I don't channel this stuff on my own. I do this because my guides have me do this, but I started channeling, and what I'm channeling is people's soul contracts and their mission and purpose. I just had a beautiful session right before this. It's so cool what they show me. But we're all here with the mission and purpose, and most of the clients that I get, the universe brings me, it's because they're here to help with awakening, for either to create the new systems or something. It's so cool. And so I'm channeling this stuff, but my guides are sharing with me how things work here. And this is how I first started learning about what's actually going on. So what my guides have shown me is that I started channeling this about 2 or 3 years ago. They say that there's 4 main systems, the 4 most prevalent ones that are collapsing around the globe. They call it the 4 pillars. And it's banking and finance, meds. I say that now because if I say anything else, it gets taken down. Banking and finance, meds, political structures, and education, which my guides say that education is the most corrupt one. And when I'm channeling, I can see it. But the glue that holds it together, so it's these 4 pillars that are holding up this global pyramid structure, and the people at the very top we might never know really, and it's pyramid structure management. Like any corporation, they're running this globe like a corporation. They've shown me, didn't know any of this before. And the glue that holds all of these pillars together to make us believe that we have to participate in them the main glue is, I got it here, the media, which is all scripted and orchestrated. They literally have hired actors on there, which my guides have shown me. They've shown me the actual people who are hired to be actors in the media. Religion is the glue that holds it together. It's a man-made, and I always like to preface, I'm not talking about God or creator. I'm talking about the man-made construct of religion, right? To tell you what you're supposed to do and tell you how you're supposed to live, and that, you know, you give your more money, give your time and attention, and the person that's on the top at the pulpit tells you how to live. They're the ones that are qualified to decipher what the Bible means, right? And then Hollywood and law. So law meaning law enforcement, the law system. So that's the glue that holds the four pillars together and makes us believe that this is all real, that we have to participate in it. And what my guides share with me is that the victims of all these systems are the very people that are creating it through us believing. So all of us are subjected to these systems that the people who are running this globe, like a global pyramid, are not participating in. They own all these systems. They're not operating in them. They are in charge of operating them for the globe, and they have low-level management to do that. And what they tell me is that this starts when we come out of the womb, right? So our parents are taught all these things, and then they teach us. And from the time we can go to the bathroom on our own, basically, we're in the system learning the very things that our parents also learn. So we learn it in school, then we go home and our caregivers tell us the same thing. So we hear it from all areas. And then we, by the time we're almost adults, you know, we're 18 years old. I was 17 when I graduated, so I know there's different ages. But by the time you get out of the education system, and through these grading system, the punishment and reward system, to ensure that you now can regurgitate the very script that you are going to be required to know when you go out and participate in these systems. By the time we get out, we now have the media to continue reinforcing that, religion that continues reinforcing this. So it starts at a very young age. And what my guides tell me, they're saying to say this right now, is that the primary reason for education, beyond creating good little factory workers for the systems, the primary reason is to wipe all memories of who we really are from us. Children have their memories, and there's so many children, not all, but they're saying majority, but many children are coming in right now with their memories, and there's this huge like this knowing, like Sean was referring to, right? This knowing, this awareness, but actual memories of past lives, actual memories of why they're here. And the education system is meant to wipe all that, right? And so if you can't pay attention in school, you've got what they call ADD, or maybe you've got autism, maybe you're on the spectrum, right? These are gifts that my guides have said we come in with that keep the people that have these gifts, it keeps them from being manipulated and sucked into the system. And they're here to help be the front runners to create the new systems by not being sucked in and manipulated, because they have what's called ADD, they have what's called autism and Asperger's. And if there's kids not paying attention in school and who are literally rejecting school, if we can title that ADHD and put them on pills, that makes them compliant and pliable, and then we can continue wiping all memories from them and replanting the ones that we want them to know so they can participate in the systems when they get out. So that's in a nutshell what they've been showing me the last couple of years, and they're telling me to share it out in public.
Ron, I mean, you started a long time ago, like you said earlier. I mean, you knew that your parents were being lied to. You knew that we were all being lied to. So there's so many things I felt when I was younger, but I didn't have the balls to do anything about it. And you know what else? I'm not as great a researcher as you. And I know that you've traveled the world and met with archaeologists and scientists. And so a lot of your claims you can substantiate with the facts that you've traveled and accumulated. Do you want to tell us, because I'm hoping we can do more segments. There's no way we can pack all of the hard work you've both done in one segment. So what do you want to share with us now based on what Heather says that sort of compounds what she said from your research?
Well, like Heather was saying, part of the whole control matrix in the education system is orchestrated in a way so that people cannot remember who they really are. And also, they're not only do they not remember, but they're also not taught true history. So in the education system, it's called a compulsory education system, where children are taught to mindlessly repeat and regurgitate information out of textbooks. Well, the textbooks are all full of lies, all of it. And they do not want anyone to know true history. There is a massive agenda to suppress history and also archaeology. In the 1800s, there was just an enormous boom of archaeological discoveries just here in the continent in the area of the United States. And the government has an agency called the Smithsonian Institution. Their job is to monitor all the archaeological discoveries, and anytime something significant is found that has to do with extraterrestrials, alien interventions, genetic engineering, Nephilim giants, Anunnaki, advanced technology of the ancient gods, anytime stuff like that is discovered, or even just anytime like a cuneiform tablet or an ancient writing is discovered that disrupts the false narrative of the indoctrination systems, they send in their agents, they cover it all up, they sweep it all under the rug. I mean, if it's significant enough, they'll even send in the military to secure it and kill people that might talk about it. Or, I mean, if it's something really, really valuable to the military, like genetic material of, say, Gilgamesh, or maybe, Saddam Hussein found an ancient Stargate in Iraq, they would go as far to, let's say, maybe blow up the World Trade Center and then blame it on some terrorists so that they could gain support from the taxpayers to invade the Middle East and take control of all that DNA and all that archaeological data and all that technology. You betcha that's what they're going to do. And that's what they've been doing for hundreds and hundreds of years. In fact, it's not even hundreds of years. We're going down thousands of years, because this agenda to suppress technology and keep this technology hidden has been going on ever since the ancient gods. Well, let me rephrase that. The ancient fake gods genetically engineered the human race to be a slave species. You ever studied Greek mythology? You remember the story of Prometheus stealing the technology of fire from Zeus and teaching the humans metallurgy with fire, and then Zeus punishes Prometheus? That's a perfect example of how they want to keep technology hidden and suppressed from humanity. Here's a more recent version. Nikola Tesla, around 100 years ago, was reverse engineering free energy technology. JP Morgan Chase and his bankers came in and took it all, swept it under the rug, destroyed his career. So we see this repeated, ongoing agenda dating back thousands and thousands of years to keep technology hidden, to keep the truth hidden, and keep everyone brainwashed.
Can I just butt in here real quick?
Yeah.
Sean, can you explain, because what you just touched on, for people, it's really hard for people to, sometimes when they hear this stuff, right, your cognitive dissonance kicks in, and it's like, no, that can't be real, right? And then people get angry. This is why when I go watch Sean's TikTok videos, he's got people who absolutely love him, and he's got people who are just freaking out on there and so angry and so just attacking him. It's because there's this fear that comes up when people hear something, especially from someone intelligent who has facts, right? It's someone that you have to pay attention to. When they hear something that challenges a belief system, what happens is it creates fear, because your brain, if your brain was to allow that thought to come in and you say, okay, if that's true, what else can be true? It's too much to comprehend, so cognitive dissonance sets in. But when Sean explains, what's that term again, Sean? You create a problem and then they explain the whole, you talked about the World Trade Center, right? So explain what that term is.
Okay, so it's called a Hegelian dialectic.
Yeah.
A Hegelian dialectic is a rinse and repeat strategy that these world controllers have used to manipulate people for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. A Hegelian dialectic is problem, reaction, solution. They create the problem. They wait for the people to react. Typically, they just want people to be afraid. That's the main reaction they want, fear. Then they come in with their solution. But the solution is never anything to really benefit humanity. The solution will always be something to continue their agenda of total control. So I'll give you an example. The world controllers saw that in the Middle East, buried in the sand, there's a lot of ancient technology. There's also a lot of cuneiform tablets with invaluable archaeological data about extraterrestrial races, advanced technology, and true history. There is also DNA, genetic material of alien beings that's preserved through a process known as mummification. The military industrial complex, which is all controlled by these world controllers, they wanted that technology, but they couldn't just go and invade Iraq just because the people would not approve. The people would get very angry. So they had to use a Hegelian dialectic in order to gain support from the American people to justify the invasion. Remember, Hegelian dialectic: problem, reaction, solution. The problem: blow up the World Trade Centers, blame it on some terrorists in Iraq. The solution: we need to invade Iraq. It's for your safety, and we got to do it because our freedom is jeopardized. And again, so it's all a scam. But let me start over. Problem: blow up the World Trade Centers. Reaction: fear. Solution: invade Iraq. And they rinse and repeat this over and over and over again with all kinds of different things.
The bad guys end up looking like the heroes because the person who's unaware, we got attacked and our government saved us, not knowing the same saviors are the perpetrators. Right?
Yes.
That's what you're saying. It's so sad.
Let me also. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Jennylyn.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Heather.
I was gonna say, this is what my guide's bringing a lot too, is that we live in a reality that what you envision combined with your beliefs and your emotions, which create your actions as well, but the what you envision and your beliefs and your emotions create this reality, right? And so what they're doing in what my guides have said many times, and they're saying it too, again, that's why I spoke up. What Sean just explained with that specific example. So when the buildings get blown up, World Trade Center gets blown up, here's the solution: we're going to invade Iraq. And then they inundate us in the news and Hollywood, and there's movies now, and then there's media, and what they're doing is they're pulling our attention and our belief systems, which creates emotions, right? And fear, which is on the opposite end of the spectrum, is love. Fear is a powerful emotion that can manifest into matter, something, right? And so now they're pulling millions of people's attention to what they're saying is happening, which is invading Iraq and trying to find terrorists, right? And they're naming them by names on the news. So now all of these millions of people or more are envisioning exactly what they want to happen, right? Which supports them in their narrative and ends up hiding what's really going on, right? And so we're creating that we're supporting and giving them even more momentum by believing what they're saying and envisioning it for them, which is that came into recently when I was channeling for a couple of other things. They know, the people at the top of this globe, the powers that were, I call them, at the top of this globe, know how this works, which is why there's so much attention to the media, right? There's literally scripts given to the media on what to say and what the narrative is to create in order to have us create for them, or at least provide enough energy and support to help them do what they're trying to do. So there's multiple reasons why they create. I still can't say that term that Sean just said. There's multiple reasons why that's happening. It's what Sean is saying, and also to help them create the narrative that they're trying to create. It's manipulation.
Yeah, in other words, they're using the creative power of our consciousness against us.
Yes. Right.
And you know what it's like when people have believed something their entire lives. When you bring them the truth or another perspective, they'd rather hang on to what they feel safe with, which is what they've been doing over the years, although it's what's hurting them. And that just blows my mind. People are so, like you said, cognitive dissonance. They're not willing to even look at another perspective. I have people that are close to me that I try to tell this stuff to, and I know they're uncomfortable around me and they're looking at me like I've lost my marbles. And sometimes it's very hurtful because you're like, if you love me and know me like you say you do, I'm clearly not crazy. Just have an open mind and listen to it. But instead, I've had people say to me, it's not, what's the point of knowing it? It's not going to change my life. Or how is it going to change my life? And so I think the reason that it's going to be very difficult to break out of that matrix is because so many people would rather stay where they are in the uncomfortable, paying too much taxes, being lied to, being manipulated, because it's easier to do that than to change. And then they look at those of us who were given the task to share the truth like crazy people. And that's okay. For those who think I'm crazy, that's fine. I've been told that I'm crazy. So that's where this is coming from. So anyway, Sean, you actually, okay, so I want to say this also so anybody watching this would know. I found Heather on TikTok. I found Sean on TikTok. I found at least 20 other people that are like Heather and Sean. But the two of you, I was told that I should follow you. And I decided I would introduce the two of you because one was telling the story from her guides and one was telling the story with the evidence. And so I introduced the two of you, and it turned out Heather was following you, Sean. But the thing that blew my mind is how you were telling the same exact stories. And everyone else that's bringing through these messages, it's a consistent message. So clearly, the world is being fed some truth that it might not be ready for. Sean, you get attacked. To be honest with you, when I wake up in the morning having my coffee, getting ready for work, I go to your channel and I get my entertainment there because you know what I love about you, Sean? And this is what tells me you are comfortable in your skin. You take their critique of you or whatever garbage they're tossing at you, and you put it in a corner of the screen and you read it out and you answer and you have no emotion about it. You're like, that. It just cracks me up. And sometimes I would just laugh. But tell us, I mean, you get called all sorts of names. I've seen you, and I've actually responded and said, Sean, don't argue with the ignorant. But how do you keep calm with all these things that they call you? And what stops you from giving up? Because sometimes I feel like I want to abort this mission.
Beam me up.
Well,
Scott.
I guess what keeps me calm, I guess, is just I've practiced and trained myself to have a certain amount of emotional self-regulation and resilience. And then I guess what keeps me from giving up is if I do not continue on my mission for this incarnation, the universe will start to make things very uncomfortable for me so that I get back on track. Also, when I start steering away from my mission or my purpose, I've noticed that money does not flow in as easily. There's more resistance. But when I'm in alignment with my purpose, things just seem to manifest with less resistance. And also I experience a lot more synchronicities and I get more downloads, and that kind of lets me know that I'm on the right path.
This is awesome. Heather, how about you? I know your story with the bank, and then you had a stroke and you were laying in bed and you asked your guides, and you have just been I mean, I watch you every day. You channel Oprah, Bill Gates. I mean, and I watch all of it, and I think everybody should watch it because you get bits and pieces about them since mainstream media never reports the stuff that you are bringing through. And you keep going, and I'm so proud of you. You relate it exactly the way it's given to you. Why do you think your guides are giving you this information to share with mankind?
Good question. Well, okay. I'm like, why are you guys doing this? And they said, because this is my mission. This is what I came here to do. And to add what Sean said. So my guides have shown me this so many times with clients, that when they're off of their path, which is what happened to me in banking, it was time for me to go, but I'm not a quitter. I'm like very loyal. I will stick around and keep going. And I was trying to make change. I was standing up against publicly, standing up against massive racism and corruption. And I wasn't going to go. But what happened? I wasn't going to leave because I had my whole plan, because I was told what I was supposed to do. I work until I retire, and then I have retirement. I have a 401k, and I have a couple of dollars that maybe I can travel a little bit when I'm 65 or 70, right? I had my plan, but I was getting the nudge, right, to do more. So what happens is the universe turns up the heat. And this is how they show me. This is what they've shown me so many times. If we're off our path, if we're off for either because we haven't woken up yet, right? Or we get off our path or whatever, the universe will turn up the heat in certain areas of our life, whichever one is going to be the most painful for us, because there is something called the law of non-intervention. So they can't make you make a different decision, but just like the powers that were on this globe have learned how to get around the law of free will by hijacking our energy and our mindset and our attention through manipulation, through the media and religion, all those things, they've learned how to get around the laws. There's a law of non-intervention that our guides know how to work with, which is, let's make things really tough in this area so that then the person is going to go this way. Like Sean just mentioned, money doesn't flow as much, right? There's not as many synchronicities, not as many downloads. Things don't feel as aligned. That's the way his guides are showing him you're off track. So that's what happened with me. You know, I was, mid 30s, early 30s with a stroke, because it was so traumatic, but I kept going. So that's what forced me to call out and say, if there's anything out there that beyond this that can hear me, I feel my soul dying. I didn't even know I had a soul. I didn't even think about it. It just came out. And my guides have said, that's how, for anyone listening too, that's how you can start getting help, because they can't interfere. They can make things really difficult, but if you're not awake, you don't realize why. So you call out for help. And within 3 months, I was out of there and channeling a couple months later after the angels visited me. So this is how it works here, because we're the boots, my guides say, we're the boots on the ground. We've chosen to incarnate here into the flesh, but we have a whole team that's supporting us. We have a life blueprint, right, that our soul holds, that our guides support us with. And if we get off our blueprint, then we get nudged back on. And the more back on our highest timeline, what we're meant to do. And the more we can hear our higher self and use our intuition to hear those soft nudges, those soft voices, to notice the synchronicities, which are the breadcrumbs guiding you, the more we can be in tune to that, the easier our life is for it. It makes things easier. We get the guidance much easier. And so the key is learning how to tune into that so you can hear that guidance. So if you're struggling in an area, career, health, partnership, etc., you're struggling and things are really tough, it's probably because you are living the way the system is telling you you're supposed to live. And you got to connect into your higher self for guidance so that you can be guided to your highest timeline. That's where the guidance is outside of this realm, really.
Sean, at what age did you actually start meeting with like archaeologists and scientists? Because I'm hoping you have the time and are willing, as well as Heather, to come back where you can share with us, like when you met with an archaeologist, what did you find out? What did you prove? Because this is so like shattering is the word that's coming to mind. When this information is shared with someone, it's shattering, because what we believe, not only did we believe, our parents believe, their parents believe, and it goes all the way back to our ancestors. So to now, at this stage of our lives, and this is how I felt when I first, and I'll use my experience as a quick example. When I realized about church, I was a big church goer. I cannot tell you, one time I was really struggling financially, and I got like $1,500 back from my taxes. I'm like, this first 100 has to go to God. So before I paid any of my bills, I wrote the check and sent it to the church. And it was not a small check. So when I when I realized how I was played, I was so angry because those people that I was sending, those so-called quote unquote priests that I was sending my money to, are living in big houses and have 2 and 3 airplanes, and I struggle. And so I got very angry about that. And then when I heard about 9/11 and all these other heinous things that have been committed and we've been lied to about them, like the ending of lives of people who were going to make a difference in the world, and I could go down the list. It makes me, who is an open person, really, really upset. So I could imagine people who are not halfway on their evolutionary path, what this must do to them. So how do we, and I think this is why you both get any kind of reaction. Sean, I notice whenever you get more than 1 million followers, your account is gone. Why do you think they're doing that?
Well, so on TikTok, it actually wasn't 1 million followers. So I'm on my 5th TikTok account. They've deleted all my other ones, but my other ones, once they grew to around 10,000 to 20,000 followers and started getting into millions of views, they would delete them. So I'm doing my best to learn how the censorship algorithms work. I've got my 5th account. I think I'm at like 20,000, over 20,000 followers now. And so far, this one's been okay. I've gotten a little better at finagling my way through their censorship algorithm. But yeah, anytime you start talking about the kind of stuff that I talk about, extraterrestrials doing genetic experiments, Hegelian dialectics, and how the governments use it, how the governments are using bioweapons and experimental gene therapies, anything to do with the Great Awakening, they don't like us talking about this. So it's just again, it just goes back to the suppression of human consciousness. There is an agenda to suppress the evolution of human consciousness, and anyone that comes out and starts teaching humanity how to break free from the enslavement, those people are going to get censored. Sometimes they'll get killed off. Sometimes they'll get sometimes they'll even get offered large sums of money to shut up. But all of those, in every way you can possibly imagine, they're trying to suppress this stuff.
Oh my God, they're trying to pay, right? I know someone who said, Heather, they're trying to buy you off, right? They're trying to buy you off, to shut you up when you worked in the bank.
Oh, well, yeah, I can't be bought. Yeah, when they let me go, they offered me apparently, from what I've heard, the largest lump sum of money that's ever been offered at those types of events, in order to stay silent and not share what I knew and not say anything about it. And I quietly didn't take the money, because part of the silence was, part of the bribe was I couldn't help anybody at the company if I signed and took the money. And that was the whole point of all of it, was helping these people that were getting absolutely brutalized, by the system. So I didn't take the money, and I was very scared. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I had no idea this is where I would be in 4 years. I had no idea I would be channeling, and then channeling for people around the globe. I didn't believe in this, first of all, and have a business helping people with this stuff. So yeah, I can't be bought. I was just thinking when Sean was saying that there's people being offered large sums of money. Well, this is why my guides had me start channeling Hollywood, is to start help people understand that. This started with Hollywood, showing that these people are identified, the ones that rise to the biggest fame and fortune, they're identified with certain ingredients. Maybe they have wounding, they're desperately seeking fame and fortune, recognition, approval, whatever it is. They identify these people and start having them sign contracts to rise to fame and fortune. And every time they rise up a level, the contract gets more nefarious. And ultimately, they're faces of brands or narratives, etc. Right? For the people at the top of this globe. And then just recently, they started showing me that this is happening with everyone. So Bill Gates, for instance, I had no idea, but it's the same thing. He's not even the one who came up with any of this stuff. He's not the brains behind this stuff. Just like everyone else, they're showing me he was chosen to be a face. So on one hand, it's so that these people can take the fall if anything goes down. So the people really behind it, really behind all of these things, they think they're untouchable and they won't be seen, and they'll just pick up another pawn or puppet. But there's people who their mission and purpose here, like mine and Sean, right? There's people who there's this built-in like memory or program, I guess, that says not to be bought, because our words and our truth is much more valuable than any money we could receive for our silence. It's just, I'm not one of those people, not going to take it.
Has anybody tried to shut you down, or do you ever worry for you, because you are matter of fact about what you share? I love it.
Me?
No, Sean.
Oh yeah.
Sean, you
I mean,
matter of fact, like, this is how it is. And the story. And I love that, because that's the thing that drew me to you the first time you crossed my path. This guy is definitely certain of what he is saying. And that's when I stopped and watched you. And you grabbed me at the first dib. So I've been following you since then. And then Heather, you have this calm about you, and also certainty. And that was the other reason why I started following you as well. And between you two, you were saying the same thing, like many others that I have watched. But what do you think the information that either one of you can answer this question? What is your hope for the information you're putting out there?
well, my hope is that the information spreads and gets shared, kind of like the network effect, the way like how a mycelial network of mushrooms just spreads and engulfs something. And even like a mycelial mushroom network is kind of like its own collective. I think mushrooms are like intelligence, some kind of intelligent consciousness. But that's kind of what information is now with the age of social media and in the digital age. Is the information spreads and changes the consciousness of each person that acquires it, and then they go out and share it, and then they have awakening moments. And it's kind of like I have an awakening moment, I share it, and then they have these other people that acquire the data, they start expanding their consciousness and becoming more awake, and then they start, it's kind of like the network effect. So that's essentially what my mission to do here is. It's to change the consciousness of the collective by sharing information and snapping people out of their mainstream media induced psychosis or their brainwashing. And right now, we can move information around at the speed of light. So that's why so many of these souls are incarnating here as volunteers and doing this work, is because now we've reached this apex of technology where literally it's moving at the speed of light. So it's like a mass awakening that's happening right now. And that's what I hope for is a mass awakening.
Before I go to Heather, have you noticed? Okay, how long have you been on TikTok?
Sean.
What? Wait. Oh, me?
Yeah, how long have you been on TikTok?
So I started making TikTok videos in 2021.
How many people do you think see the picture now from when you started?
Oh, it's really hard to say, but I can absolutely say that there are way more people that are awake now than there was the previous year and the year before that. And it's growing exponentially, especially with TikTok. And so here's what happens. Each time a new social media platform launches, the growth that they have with the amount of people that join surpasses the previous social media platform.
Right.
Plus, with all the new people, the billions and billions, the rising billion of people coming together on smartphone technology is also enabling this mass awakening. So it's literally like it's almost like it's doubling. That we're starting to get to a point to where it's like the compound effect. And this is why these world controllers are trying so hard with the censorship algorithms, is because they know that they're losing control of the narrative,
Not
and they're
control. They have lost control.
yes, they're losing control, and it's like it's getting so like their new laws they're trying to pass. They're trying to ban TikTok. Like there's certain people in the government trying to ban TikTok, and that's because too many people are waking up on TikTok. TikTok allows someone with to create a brand new account with 0 followers and just go viral and be getting hundreds of thousands, if not millions of views in a very short period of time. And that freaks them out.
You, same question. How long have you been on TikTok?
3 or 4 months. But
Oh, really?
yeah, my guides told me this is interesting. So just like when I left the bank, at the time I wasn't awake yet, and it was the worst thing I could ever imagine because it goes against all the things I was taught I was supposed to be doing in my life, right? But I look back now and I'm like, wow, that was so beautifully orchestrated. I cannot believe how insane my God, the universe delivered all that. So a year ago, my guides were like, you need to get on TikTok. First of all, about a year and a half ago, they said it's time to start. I was channeling for people, and all my business was referrals, right? And they said it's time now to come out. Like, you know what you're doing now, you're comfortable, it's time to create a business, they said. And so I started, taking the steps, figuring out how to do that. And then a year ago, they said, now it's time to go on TikTok. They said TikTok specifically. And I had heard of TikTok, and I thought it was like for 12-year-olds, like little snippets of whatever 12-year-olds do. And I'm like, I don't really want to get on this platform. And so I didn't get on for like 8 or 9 months. And then I got on, and I probably had like under 1,000 followers by about 6 weeks ago, and now I'm at like 4,000. It's starting to grow, but what it's doing is it's sending me more people. Clients are finding me, people are finding me through TikTok and reaching out to me, and I'm channeling for them. And most of the people that are finding me, I can't think of anyone who doesn't fall in this category, are people to help with the awakening. So I'm here to channel and confirm for them their mission and purpose here, so that they can now really fully embrace it and get onto their timeline. And so my guides, now I look back and say, oh, no wonder they told me to get on TikTok, because there are people like us whose mission and purpose is to help with the Great Awakening and help to increase consciousness, which the purpose of this is to overthrow the powers that were, so we can start living the way we're meant to, which is in harmony and knowing who we are and connect to our higher self and all that. That's the purpose of all of this, right? And from what I've seen anyway. And so them telling me to get on TikTok a year ago was so that I could start directing and helping more people that are also here for this step into their timeline, step into their mission and purpose fully. I just wasn't listening. So when I started doing it, it's taking off, and I've gotten to the point where I'm like, I'm going to create a membership community now, because I want to help. They're telling me to create a membership community to help even more people, because I can only channel for so many people a week. It takes a lot of energy. But that's how it works. They just give you a little nudge. They just speak to you really quietly, and it's up to us to follow it. And then once we follow it, the doors open in a way that we could have never imagined, because we can't foresee this far ahead. That's why you got to trust the nudges you're getting.
Right, so Heather's gift has to do with divine intervention. She has guides that gives her the information that she channels. Do you have anything like that? Do you have guides, or do you hear from higher beings, or all of what you know? Do you have any kind of spiritual guidance, I guess is what I'm asking, or if you're just going on your intuition, which for me is spiritual guidance. But do you physically hear from guides like she does?
So I've never just been able to channel a guide on command. However, when I began practicing spirituality, when I began doing things like fasting, meditating, opening my pineal gland, experimenting with the different ways of opening my pineal gland, then I began getting data downloads. I began getting synchronicities. I started, seeing numbers, having crazy hunches and intuitions, started getting visions like that, my dreams became very vivid. When I was on a raw food diet and I did a fast, it was almost like my dreams, like when I would go to sleep, I would remember so much of it, and it would just continue through my waking state. And it was like, things would happen in the dream that would correlate into my waking state. And it almost became like one steady information flow. Like, you know how like when people dream, it's like, okay, I'm asleep, I'm dreaming, and then I wake up and I forget everything. I was not forgetting. It was like a continuous information flow. And then when I went down to Costa Rica and drank ayahuasca, I made contact with interdimensional beings that started talking to me and showing me stuff and showing me visions. So, yes, I have been contacted with effort. It takes a little more effort for me. I'm not able to just instantly channel stuff like Heather can, but yes, absolutely. I've had experiences like that.
Why I thought that the two of you would be a good marriage for this show is because yours is not spiritual downloads, hers is, but you both have the same message. Heather, did you want to say something? I saw you.
Yeah, I was just, my guides are like, they want to talk. And what they're saying about Sean is that, Sean chose to incarnate in this avatar. It's a masculine avatar, right? And there's something about, I don't know this, and probably Sean will be able to fill in this blank because he's done all the research, but there's something about the difference between a feminine and masculine energy. Feminine energy, there's something more fluid, there's something more naturally connected to other realms or this information, right? And so and they're reminding me, caveat, they're saying, and they've told me this a lot, that there's a lot of souls who have incarnated as feminine in this lifetime in order to bring more of these gifts here to help people wake up. But for Sean, what they're saying is that he chose, for whatever reason, I would love to channel more about this sometime for you, Sean, if you want, but for whatever reason, he chose this avatar. And since there is something about I don't know if it's DNA, but there's something about the male avatar versus the female avatar that makes it a little bit harder to naturally connect. You are hearing your guides, and that's why I don't know if you were guided to the research about the raw diet. I don't know if how some of these things, the pineal gland, the stuff that you've done, the ayahuasca, you are hearing the nudges. You might not hear the words, like I can feel them talking to me, and it's like the stamp of information in my heart space. You're channeling it in a little bit different way, and they are speaking to you, which is why you were brought to all of those things. So they're saying it's similar, it's just different. And I have yet to meet anyone who channels like me. Most of the people that I meet, like they're intuitive, they call themselves psychic intuitive, or they're channeling like Bashar, there's someone I met recently through Sean who channels like that, the being is speaking through the person. I haven't met anyone that's getting the information to them and then articulating it out. So Sean's channeling in his own way. He's just not realizing that it's happening. But the synchronicities he's talking about they're saying they're like your little rewards for listening to the intuition and the channeling that you're receiving downloads. It's not the same as it is for me, if that makes sense.
Yeah. That makes sense.
I haven't got the gift as well as you both because I never trained myself on how to use it, but I have the gift. I've been throughout my life dreamt things or say I feel this, and I would tell people and it would happen. And the one thing that I'll tell you was very strong when I came in contact with people that were not honest and good and doing good for other people who are involved in dark stuff, I would just know that I didn't like them. I couldn't tell you why I didn't like them. And all the people you're channeling, Heather, are the people, like my friends would tell you from years back, I kept saying, I don't like Oprah, I don't like Bill Gates, and a whole lot of celebrities you've channeled, but I didn't know why I didn't like them. And so I think that just like you, Sean, you don't feel like you're channeling like Heather said. I'm just echoing what Heather said, but you are. And I am too. And now since I've been involved with friends like you guys, calling you guys my friends, I have noticed it's becoming more astute. I'm becoming more conscious of it. I'm more comfortable with it, so I can trust the messages that I'm getting. So we've already used up an hour, but reset the clock for 20 more minutes. Sean, would you be able to do another segment with us sometime?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what about you, Heather?
Of course,
So I
it's
just
my
want
mission.
to be
I have to.
Pardon?
I said it's my mission. I absolutely. Anytime you need me, I'm here.
So I wanted this to be like an introductory show so that I can share you, because a lot of the people who follow me are not TikTok people. I don't really have a TikTok channel. I'm on there, I watch people, I repost stuff, but I don't post any of my content on here because the majority of my friends don't want to go on TikTok because they believe the Chinese is monitoring them, whatever. But so my shows I play more on television, and this is why I want to do this with you, because the people that I have following me, the majority would never see the two of you on TikTok. And if I tell them go watch Heather or Sean on TikTok, they won't go. And that's my purpose for doing this. My show also is still playing on television in the San Francisco Bay Area where I started. I don't know if they would play this. Anyway, what do you guys think is important that I include in tonight's video if I didn't ask you? Sean, what do you think is really critical that we include in this segment?
I would say if there's anyone watching who is ready to expand their consciousness, or maybe, you're a little skeptical of all this data download stuff, connecting to, and interdimensional entities, channeling different collective consciousness. If anyone's skeptical about it, or you want to try it, I would say go for it and learn how to open your pineal gland. You know how I was talking about before, how there's an agenda to suppress the evolution of human consciousness? This is specifically related to your pineal gland, which is a little mechanism inside your brain. And this is the mechanism in which your consciousness is incarnated into your avatar body and allows you to experience life subjectively through the 5 sensory organs. That little gland is like your connection to infinite intelligence and God consciousness. There is an agenda to keep your pineal gland shut down and not functioning at its optimal level. They do this by putting fluoride in your water. They do this by running ad campaigns to get you to drink alcohol and smoke cigarettes and eat toxic food. They also do this by keeping you in a environment where you're in scarcity, financial scarcity, always stressed, always worried about how you're going to pay your next bills. They create an environment, and you can feel this too. Like, it's not a coincidence that there's alcohol campaigns and cigarette ads everywhere. It's because this stuff closes off your pineal gland. Even if you don't believe in all the collective consciousness channeling stuff, just try to open your pineal gland as an experiment and see what happens. Have your own experience with it. Don't take my word for it. Do not believe anything I say, because if you just blindly believe what I say, you're what's called an NPC robot, someone that mindlessly repeats and regurgitates stuff. Have your own experience and then make up your own mind.
Well, I mean, Heather, you've been on my show at least 5 times already, but in this particular segment that you're on with Sean, what would you like to include in this segment before we do the next?
Yeah. I was asking my guides what they think. First of all, Sean cracks me up. When I watch, when you brought it up earlier, when I watch his videos and I'm watching him just like, take a comment and put it up in the corner, and he rips them apart. First of all, most of his haters are religious, and it's like, well, isn't God love? What are you learning in church then? What's going on here? But it's just so funny the way he presents things. But I say the same thing. Do not take my word for it. Go do your own research. And I channeled this about, I'll just say Q. I channeled Q the other day. I didn't know what it was. I had to look it up. But what my guide showed me is that Q is doing the same thing, is pulling our attention, right? Pulling our attention towards something so we can create this certain narrative for them, like help support what they're trying to do. And what they do is they drop cryptic messages places in order to encourage people to go do their own research, because nobody can change your mind but you. You've got to go do your own research, because we get presented with, if this is what they wanted, my guide said it is important to share right now. If you're feeling threatened or in fear or angry based on this message or other messages that you hear out there that go against what you believe, there's a reason why. Your fear, flight, or fight's kicking in, right? It's preserving your belief system, because what are you going to do if that falls apart? So when you do your own research, there's nobody there. There's no opposition there for you to prove yourself to, for you to argue with. You're on your own looking at the research. So do your own research, number one. And then the other thing what my guides want to say is, this is no different than believing in Santa Claus. How many of you out there watching this have believed in Santa Claus? When I believed in Santa Claus, when I was a little kid, I remember my parents sitting me down one day at 5 or 6 years old, roughly, and said, we want to talk to you about Santa Claus. It was a very serious conversation at the table. It was very serious. I'm going to tell you about Santa Claus. Who do you think Santa Claus is? And I'm like, well, Santa Claus. And they said, it's not Santa Claus. Santa Claus is not really who you think he is. And I said, well, it must be the Easter Bunny then. Nope, not the Easter Bunny. I'm like, Tooth Fairy? No, my brain could not comprehend. And then when they said, we're Santa Claus, my brain could not comprehend what they were telling me. I was so shocked. I mean, it took me, they had to say it multiple times. And I was like, I just can't, what? What do you mean you're Santa Claus? I'm like, you turn into Santa Claus at night? It took a long time for them to explain to me, no, there is no Santa Claus. We pretend to be Santa Claus for your enjoyment, because it's fun to think you have gifts coming from a jolly man in a red suit. This is the same thing, right? So Santa Claus is the systems that we've been told are real. Santa Claus is the education system, the political system, the banking and finance system, religion, all of these things that we believe are real. We're believing in an adult Santa Claus. And so as soon as you say, I'm willing to receive truth at my own pace, the universe will start drip campaigning truth to you. Do your own research, validate it for yourself, but be kind and patient with yourself, because your cognitive dissonance is strong. My cognitive dissonance, when I was told that Santa Claus wasn't real, took me a long time to overcome that. And it's even harder now when you reach 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years old to then have your belief system of your whole life challenged. That's a lot of cognitive dissonance set up. So be patient with yourself and just seek truth. Truth is freedom.
When you say go do your research, please don't go to Google, because if you go to Google, you will call Heather and Sean liars, because you're going to see what mainstream media wants you to see. That's not the place where you research. Sean, you have great resources for where they can do their research. Would you like to share some with them?
Sure. If anyone wants to start doing their own research, I would start by ordering some of these books on Amazon. Anything from a guy named Mauro Biglino. He's an Italian translator that worked for a publishing company that was endorsed by the Vatican. And then he started getting censored. Like, they stopped publishing his work because he was talking about all the stuff that I'm talking about. I think, I can't guarantee this, but I think he might have even had access to the secret Vatican archives. So I would start with Mauro Biglino. I would also order books by a man named Gerald Clark. He passed away in 2020, but he did phenomenal research on the human energy body, consciousness, ancient hidden history. I would also start with this guy. I actually have his book right here. This is brand new, and I just got it. It's called The Epic of Humanity. It's written by Matthew LaCroix and Billy Carson. Both of these guys have done phenomenal research. I would also order some books, or even go on YouTube and look up just audiobooks of this stuff. Anything from the teachings of Thoth, the Atlantean, who is also Hermes Trismegistus. He was known by Hermes by the Greeks. He was known by Thoth as the Egyptians and the Atlanteans. Any of the Hermetic teachings go deep into all this stuff. There's just tons and tons of researchers and people you can connect with on social media that will also share information with you, book recommendations, but yeah, just start by listening to some audiobooks. Also, too, Dr. Joe Dispenza has done some phenomenal research into how the pineal gland works. Here's a new one I just got. It's called The Apocalypse of Yajnavalkya, but this one goes deep down all these rabbit holes. But just start putting the puzzle pieces together for yourself, and let the higher consciousness guide you.
If they're just starting out, is there like an introductory? Because even I would say that I'm reasonably evolved, get lost sometimes in what you're sharing. So
okay, for an introductory, I'd say start with Gerald Clark and Billy Carson and Matthew LaCroix.
Okay. So the next segment that we do, we'll pick a specific topic, we'll discuss it, and we'll discuss that, because this stuff is like, it has to be done segmentally, otherwise people wouldn't get what we're saying, we'll just confuse them. What do you suggest we start? Where do you suggest we start on the next segment?
Next segment, I would say the hidden history of the Genesis and the creation story was a good one, because again, if you don't even know the truth about how humanity came into be on the earth world, it's kind of hard to have any grounding on where you're starting,
I'm asking, and if somebody is planning to watch this, they can start, read some of the stuff beforehand, so when we get together, what you share might resonate better. Thank you, Sean. Heather, what do you want to say to people about those segments that you're right now you're channeling? You did you did Bill Gates, you did Oprah. Why do you think your guides are asking you to share this with us?
I've asked them that before. Well, ultimately, high levels to help with the awakening. Okay, higher than that is to help shift consciousness so that we can stop these systems and structures from operating any further on the globe. Because the only reason why these systems and structures are operating, and I'm talking about, again, the 4 pillars to start: banking and finance, political structures, meds, education, right? And then the glue that holds it together: religion, media, Hollywood, and law. The only reason why these things are going is because we're participating in them. We believe that they're real. So I think the reason why they told me that I started channeling Hollywood, they wanted me to start channeling Hollywood. First of all, it started with Britney Spears, because I don't know why, but started with Britney Spears, is to help shatter the illusion. Because Hollywood was created, my guide said, when religion started failing. So they created the shiny object thing over here, and stars, the modern day gods, right? Oh, these people we worship, oh, they're millionaires, look at how talented they are. No, they're not. They're not any more talented than anyone else. They just said, yeah, we'll sign those contracts and do what you want us to do to get the money, right? I didn't take the money. People don't take the money. They take the money. So if so many people around the globe are paying attention to Hollywood and they believe certain information about Hollywood, if what I'm channeling helps shatter people's illusion of what Hollywood really is, that's a jump start into starting to be open to hearing about the other stuff, because people are really invested in Hollywood for other reasons. So if they can start to realize, I have people messaging me all the time that say, your series on, I watched your video about whoever the Hollywood person is, and that's what started my awakening. So my guides are saying that they're using Hollywood as an example, as a seed to plant, because they're saying right now, it's the cognitive dissonance isn't as thick with Hollywood. Cognitive dissonance is very thick with the media and religion and politics. Hollywood is a little bit different. So if we can shatter someone's illusion with Hollywood, then the other stuff is easier to believe, right? So it's just getting them jump started on their awakening journey.
That makes a lot of sense. And I was also thinking maybe they have you bring forth the truth about these people, because so many young people are trying to emulate them and be one of them. And it's so easy to look at someone and see all the things they have and want to have it without knowing what they did to get it. I always hear my mother's voice in the back of my head because when I was a kid, I wanted all the shiny things that my friends, my wealthy friends had. And my parents couldn't afford to give them to me. And I remember my mother saying, never envy anyone for anything they have because you don't know what they've done to get it. And suddenly that is making so much sense. I had very wise parents, if nothing else, and I thank God for them. And so we're out of our 20 minutes, but are your guys telling you any final message before we wrap? And then I'll get Sean to leave his final message and I'll wrap.
Yeah, they were just saying something, so let me just get that back. Oh, they just wanted to say to what you're saying is that this is one of the reasons why Hollywood was created, right? Is to influence the younger generations who are now older generations when religion started failing. And if I did some videos on this because they told me to, but we're taught from the time we're born, our memories, who we are is wiped from us. Then new memories, new directions implanted into us, right? And the older we get, the more then anxiety takes over, worry, fear, right? And then we're told to go to the doctor and take pills to numb the symptoms so we can keep participating in this rat race and this wheel. So what they're saying is Hollywood was created to when you're feeling like something's missing, something's not right. I'm doing everything my pastor told me. I'm doing everything my boss told me. I'm doing everything my parents told me. Doing everything my teachers told me. Why do I feel unhappy? Why do I drink so much? Why do I numb myself out? Right? Oh, it must be because I need a better car. I need better clothes. I need to become a singer. So Hollywood is meant to distract people and make them think, oh, if I buy another, if I buy another outfit, if I buy another thing, that could help. And it's like, well, that scratched the itch. It satisfied my hunger for a moment, but I'm hungry again. So I'm going to go buy more stuff. Right. And it's distracting us from going inward and going, but what's missing is that we've been disconnected from our spirit and our higher self. So that's another reason why Hollywood was created. And they just want to end with, again, go and find out, go do your own research and be loving and patient with yourself as you start to learn. It was really hard when I started waking up. I was very angry for a while. And then remember that you chose to incarnate here for a reason. You're here for a reason. So after you go through the stages of grief, when you start to realize that your reality is not what you thought it was, understand that you chose to be here for a reason and get up and say, all right, what do I do with this information? Get out of fear, move into a vibration of love and trust, and ask now, what's the next step for you on this journey of awakening for yourself, but the overall collective awakening, because you're here for it.
Thank you, Heather. And Sean, what's your final message before we wrap this segment?
If we can wake up enough people collectively on the earth world, we will eradicate things like hunger, starvation, disease, illness, war, poverty, stress, anxiety. All of those things are not normal, even though people have been brainwashed into thinking that it's normal for diseases and illnesses and wars and even death, which is not normal at all. All of these things have been created and orchestrated by a small group of evil people that want to control the earth world and all the humans. They see us as livestock, as cattle. But if we can wake up enough people, then we will be able to create the world the way we see fit. For thousands and thousands of years, these world controllers have created the world that they want to see fit, which is that world I described of illness and disease and war and starvation and conflict. But when we wake up collectively, we will also regain access to the advanced technologies like free energy technology, medical technology that just heals and cures everything using sound waves and frequencies, anti-gravity technology, technology that can just grow organic, clean food in abundant amounts. Everything that has been built that puts humanity in a never-ending system of debt enslavement where we have to rely on the government for these resources and we rely on corporations for our resources, all of that crumbles and we move into a world of abundance and health and I mean, basically, like, even I think immortality is possible. I believe we can extend our lifespans indefinitely once we regain access to the advanced genetic engineering technology that has also been suppressed. So the world will look completely different. Like, we will become like what people perceive as a god. But it's up to us to realize it and overthrow the world controllers.
Positive note to end on. What a beautiful thought, a united world where we're all looking out for each other and we're not fighting, because we were not meant to do that. Anyway, I thank you both so much. I love spending time with each of you. You inspire me, and hopefully they're inspiring you if you're watching this. And thank you for watching Conversations with Jennylyn, where the conversation is all you need to be inspired and wake up.
Broadcasting from Silicon Valley, California, this is Conversations with Jennylyn.